Shashi Dhanatunge, who is a former bureaucrat, is now joining us live from Colombo. I appreciate you taking the time out. Shashi, first up, tell us, how do you see a plausible resolution inside with this kind of anarchy and this situation unraveling in front of your eyes?
Yeah, it's of course it's quite a challenging time and new to, I would say, Sri Lanka, and it's something which I would say probably the entire world is watching closely, with so much publicity being given to the initially how the protest started by the youth in a very peaceful, creative and a very innovative manner. And so therefore now it has come to the probably last stage of it, and so a lot of focus is there. And what has to happen, I think, as we see, there'll be no way the politicians and the parliament or any future, even the politicians, to take decisions the way that they have been practicing in the past. And it will probably turn a new chapter. There will have to be a lot of consultation, and there has to be a lot of transparency, and in all their future activities, there have to be a lot of thought that has to go in before making moves. So we also believe with the introduction of social media, and that has really turned the chapter here. And we all talk
and why
about
do you say that? Why do you
technology.
say that social media has turned a chapter over here? What makes you say that?
I'll explain it. It's purely because now if you look at how we see the technology, especially the mobile and laptops as well as the tabs, have come into the society and moved into the homes. And we are talking about family values being neglected. And also the technology is sometimes bringing negative aspects towards the society and the children, especially the young. And also we see there are certain areas where the technology is being used for more social disruption rather than the well-being. Now here is a situation where the social media has played a massive role to force a very powerful, very, I would say, strongly held a political base to be challenged through the social media, and pressurizing them to start looking at new and trying to drive the country towards the right path over a period of like 70 odd years, which has been run and ruined in the probably the worst possible manner in the known history.
How do you view this current situation? Because clearly we see the mobilization of the mobs, and these are citizens of Sri Lanka protesting against a ruling establishment that has been accused of massive corruption.
That's right. Actually, now here the youth, basically they took the lead, and they used the social media to keep the entire population as much as possible aware of what's going on. And at the same time, as you know, Sri Lanka has quite a high percentage, high ratio of mobile connectivity, which they used to the optimum, and they managed to keep the entire country fully informed, because they also found most of the media institutions being taken over and controlled by the government and all certain politicians. So they basically managed to use the social media so effectively, try and overdose or overload and bypass and bulldoze to get their messages across and get the complete support, and also get the whatever the loyalties, whatever the expectations, whatever the favors what was there for the previous regime, the Rajapaksa regime, to be turned upside down.
And talk to us a little about the bankruptcy, because you all have asked for bailouts even before from the International Monetary Fund, and I believe that there is a further need of a bailout. What is the current debt outstanding of Sri Lanka?
Absolutely. I mean, there is no way out. Even yesterday, the High Commissioner of US has made a very clear statement that there is no way out for Sri Lanka without an IMF bailout. And Sri Lanka, unfortunately, has a very bad record. I mean, they have gone to IMF, I think, 17 odd times, or this is the 17th time. Up to the last, probably 16th times, on 10 occasions, they have not really followed whatever the objectives or the promises that was given. So it has quite a bad record. And so therefore, with the current situation and with a lot of information, unlike before in the past, coming to the reckoning, and also the world coming to know what's going on almost hourly basis or even probably every minute basis. And this time, IMF has very clearly said that there have to be a lot of transparency as well as the corruption has to be mitigated, and that cannot be on in future whatever the engagement that they are coming on board. So for that reason, I think we will have to think very fresh, and this is a very good opportunity where what the youth have basically told and forced the politicians to think fresh. And also at the same time, we all understand that Sri Lanka delayed and postponed getting to the IMF or approaching the IMF at least by about 1.5 to 2 years. And we all know why they postponed it. That's again for the benefit of the politicians themselves, where they didn't want any of those controls, various other committees, independent committees, commissions to be set up, because they'll be then under watch. So
I also want to understand how this entire situation spiraled under control, because when you have Mahendra Rajapaksa, and he became a hero in 2009 when his government defeated the rebels as well, the Tamil separatist rebels, after years of bitter civil war and the war that we saw, and then his family came into power, and ever since 2009 to now, what led to the downfall? Was it just corruption, or was there more to it?
I would say, from my learning, what I have learned is that one of the most difficult things in management is managing power. So if you don't know how to manage your power, then of course you are tend to lose at some point. Here is a situation with that popularity, with that gain that he had with the leading the war, giving the necessary political leadership, and with the support that he got from the entire country, he basically started losing control of power. And he got more and more of his family and relatives into various very important economic establishments and gave them the control. And 74 or 76% of the national budget was allocated to those individuals who were holding very important government establishments. And naturally, with that, the corruption crept in, and there was no limit, no boundaries. And on top of that, I think even the public sector, certain individuals, I would say, their names are now keep coming out, and obviously they will be at some point be answerable to the new government that is going to be established soon. And they also haven't really, I would say, discharged their duties, and therefore most of the development activities, infrastructure projects, have taken place more with the political motives rather than social or economic.
So that means you're saying that there is a growing view somewhere that it is the perceived disdain for the regular people by the political and financial elites there in Sri Lanka that has completely brought this nation down to its knees.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite obvious. I mean, when you even if you look at your own domestic affairs, I mean, you are responsible as the mother, father, or the parents as adults to manage your domestic budgets. I mean, if the government is not managing its budget, definitely people are questioning. Right now, what the people are asking is, why can't you give us the essentials, because we are ready to pay for it. And we are not asking anything free from you, and you guys can't provide our essentials. So definitely government has failed.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us with those quick comments right there. I appreciate your perspective, Mr. Shashi.